Weekend Munter here with a quick send-in proof video for James M. of Arizona. James, very nice chatting with you on YouTube the other day. Thanks for sending in your console. This thing is a Corona, I believe it's a V2, so it's a 4 gig onboard NAND. It did not require a postfix adapter, but I did end up putting one in it, and I'll tell you why. So, your console, it took significantly longer than the average console to RGH. At first I put a Corona, the standard Corona timing file, so I left the default programming on an Ace V3. That didn't boot at all in Zell. I read the NAND without an issue, I wrote the ECC without an issue, but the console just straight did not boot with the glitch chip installed. So I said, alright, we'll give it a shot with this new X360 Mega, which is a CR4 XL sort of clone, and you can see we just got a boot here. The X360 Mega didn't boot at all. I did the total CR4 wire installation, including the alternate points and stuff. Still couldn't get it to boot at all. Period. Would not boot Zell. So I went back to a new separate Ace V3 programmed with the 15432 speed up, the SRGH2 he calls it, and that finally, using a postfix adapter to get to the post signal, even though this console didn't require it, did boot Zell. I will admit that, to be frank, the boot times are not as great as I've seen and have previously accomplished on a Corona. It seems to be about a 20 to 30 second, maybe average, with occasional boots going as long as I've seen about 60 seconds on this console. Unfortunately, that's about the best that this one seems to want to do for whatever reason. I don't have a great explanation, but I figured I would give you a second boot. And also mention, for those of you who might not notice, and if the mic can pick it up, I doubt that it can, there is a very short kind of buzzing sound, and that boot was actually fairly quick. That was pretty decent. There's a slight, it almost sounds like a chirp, but it's the fan doing a little bit of feedback noise for each cycle that the CR4 speed up chip cycles through. So it's a real short blip, once per cycle, and once the console is booted it goes away. It's normal. So if you hear that, you're not crazy, it is normal. So yeah, there you go. The console is started up into Freestyle Dash again. We've done 2 boots on screen. Definitely appreciate. We just got an E68. It didn't go into Freestyle. E68 is usually a hard drive error, but it booted with the hard drive last time. So let me go ahead and power it off. Sometimes these aftermarket hard drives are not always the best quality and whatever. You just reseat them. Oh, I just pressed the eject button. So I guess now you're going to get to watch it boot Zell. So by pressing the eject button like I did with my Palm, when this thing boots up now, it's booting into Zell. So I'm not going to show your CPU key and stuff on screen. I'm going to power it off, and I'm going to power it up one more time just to make sure that E68 goes away. I mean, obviously you saw the first boot into Freestyle, and that E68, feel free to Google it, E68 error message, and then like hard drive, and you'll see that it's always hard drive, unfortunately. Yeah, so this one's taking a slight bit longer. Man, alright, when I said a slight bit, we're going to push the limits with this one. Alright, so this is an indication that you might would pay attention to. Again, I don't think the mic can pick it up, but that little chirping sound that I was describing before has stopped, meaning this thing's not running glitch cycles anymore. So, excuse me. So in that case, you'd want to power it off. You may choose to hard cycle it, unplug the console, plug it back in, and then start it back up. There we go. Fairly reasonable boot that time. And we boot up here. We should go into Freestyle Dash, as long as that hard drive's deciding to be okay still. Yeah, so with it pausing at this screen, I think that's likely that it's going to throw another E68. Bummer. That's not happy news. Yep, looks like that's what's going to happen. Yep, there it is. Alright, so this is going to be the longest proof video ever. So I'm going to power it off again, and just to kind of prove to you that it is the hard drive. Wow, so you watched this hard drive fail just now, basically. It was in the console, the very first boot. We powered it up. You saw Freestyle. I'll go back in the recording to convince myself, but you saw Freestyle. And then the second boot, with no changes to the console, we E68'd. So now the third boot, after reseating the console, we E68'd. So now we've got the hard drive out. So this will be your proof that it is in fact the hard drive causing that. So now it's going to boot to standard looking dash because there's no hard drive or anything in there for it to work from. So there you go, just like I said. So what I'll do, might as well do it on camera, I'm going to take my USB that I keep all my preload stuff on, and I'll preload onto your 4 gig USB, or your 4 gig onboard, since it seems like your hard drive may have bit the dust live in a proof video. So we'll go settings, storage, memory unit, copy over XEX menu to your hard drive. Nope, wrong destination. Copy to memory unit. That's what you want. This is always slower on these 4 gigs. The read-write speed of the 4 gig NAND flash on these is actually pretty poor. Man, that's slow. That's normal though. It's not something that's special about your console. It's just the 4 gig NAND flash that it shares with the NAND, right? The onboard NAND. That's also the 4 gigs of storage. It's just got a poor controller or poor NAND memory that's just slowish. So once this copies over XEX menu, I'm going to navigate to the games menu, and then I'll use that to browse the USB in order to launch a copy of Freestyle Dash, and then use Freestyle Dash to copy the files onto the internal memory. That is because, as I'll just show you real fast, when we right bumper over to devices within XEX menu, you can left and right D-pad to move through the different devices. And you'll notice that the onboard 4 gig is not an option. So XEX menu doesn't actually know about that onboard 4 gigs of memory. So what we have to do is use a program that is. So I've got a backup copy of Freestyle inside this folder labeled Tosser here. So it's just another copy of Freestyle. I'm running it from there so that I can take the copy that is at the root of the USB, and using the other copy, use the file manager and send that over to the onboard storage. So I'll go to utilities. I'm going to bring up the USB at this side. I'm going to go to onboard memory unit on this side, and then I'm going to copy over dash launch, and then I'm going to copy over Freestyle. So I'm copying from the USB to the onboard 4 gig module right now. Alright, so now that that's complete, I can launch -launch and then set the MMC memory unit copy of Freestyle as the boot, and then exit Freestyle, which will perform the default activity, which is going to boot Freestyle here. So now, if I power the console off, remove the USB, and then we reboot the thing, when it boots up, it should boot directly into Freestyle Dash. XEX menu will still be in there, and all of that even with the hard drive out because it's throwing the E68 error. Maybe since I am doing the longest proof video in history, I'll put the hard drive back in after having done this now. Alright, so there was the boot. Here's the Xbox 360 logo, and it's going to go into Freestyle from here. It will pause for a little while like it did when it did E68, but again, that's just because the NAND flash is slow and that's where it's reading Freestyle from. So as you can see, we've successfully booted Freestyle here. So just a final proof, because I just feel like justifying myself 6 million times here, I guess, that this is E68. I'm going to go ahead and, as it's turned off, I'll put the hard drive back one more time and reboot. And we'll see if the E68 comes back. That was a nice fast boot. That was cool. So there's that. And there's the 360 logo. So, do we get Freestyle or do we get E68? It's hanging up here for a long time. I'm going to bet E68. Yeah, there's kind of a weird sound coming out of that hard drive too. And there it is, E68. So hopefully that proves to your disappointment and satisfaction, as well as mine, that the console's RGH'd. The boot times are pretty reasonable, even though it was a little difficult to RGH. Unfortunately, your hard drive seems to be toast. But you do have extra copies of that stuff on your internal 4 gig memory module now. Thanks if you've made it through this whole video. Sorry for the lengthy discussion, but appreciate your business, and we'll get this thing packed up and it'll be headed out your direction tomorrow.